New Chapter, a reflection for the fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time. In today's first reading, the Israelites celebrate Passover in the Promised Land for the first time, recalling God's deliverance of the people from oppression in Egypt. This marks the ending both of their wandering in the wilderness under Moses' leadership and God's protection, and of the lingering shame of enslavement. Grain for the festival comes from the land of Canaan, and the desert sustenance provided by God, manna, comes to an end, signaling a new chapter in the story of Israel. The passage rings with hope that the people will remember the hard lessons learned on the journey and remain faithful to God amid the surrounding cultures. Psalm 34 tells how God's rescue from fear and distress replaces the blush of shame with joyful radiance, prompting grateful praise from the psalmist, "Let my soul glory in the Lord," and the community, "Let us together extol his name." As in Joshua, God's action removes reproach and banishes shame. Then, as now, people do not achieve this on their own. The parable in today's gospel reading can go by various names: prodigal son, prodigal father, forgiving father, resentful brother, depending on which character comes to the fore in the telling, or which one captures our imagination on any given day. Great stories provide multiple points of connection for us. They touch us, sting us, prod, and transform us. Jesus knew the power of stories and told great ones in his earthly ministry. Looking back on my own youth, both obedient and rebellious, I can relate to both the stay-at-home son and the wayward one. As a parent of adult children, I have shared in the worry and the relief of the father. This tale of estrangement and reconciliation draws me in again and again. The story arc of the wayward son echoes the movement from shame to restored honor described in Joshua and Psalm 34, and his train of thought after coming to his senses demonstrates key steps in the process of reconciliation. First, he identifies the tangible effects of his estrangement, declares the present situation unacceptable, and makes the decision to do something about it. Second, he recalls past actions on his part that contributed to the rift and takes responsibility for them. Third, he articulates a plan for approaching the father he has offended and rehearses his apology. Finally, he carries out his plan, returns to his father, and delivers his apology from the heart. This gives us, in story form, an excellent guide to preparation for the sacrament of penance. Even with all the son's effort to turn the page on his past and start a new chapter, only the father can remove the shame of his folly and restore the dignity of sonship that he has squandered. The father does just that with a series of lavish, loving actions, watching constantly for the son's return, embracing his emaciated and foul-smelling person, interrupting his well-rehearsed apology to reclothe him and launch a celebration, and defending the decision to restore and rejoice against the objections of the older son. This response, radical and reckless from the perspective of the Pharisees and scribes listening, points to the unconditional and inexhaustible love of God for all persons, that Jesus will literally spend his life proclaiming. According to St. Paul, God entrusts us with the message and ministry of reconciliation, calling us to heal division in the human family and draw all persons into God's loving embrace.